going to be learning a few new things in Adobe Illustrator as we create an Among Us character. So I want you to create a new document, choose Print, change the name to your first name underscore Among Us, change the points to inches, and we're going to go with a square. So let's do 4 inches by 4 inches, and that way we don't have to worry about our orientation today. And create. So the first thing we're going to learn is how to do a background color. So let's go ahead and choose, before we get started, the stroke. So make sure our stroke box is on top and say none. And then we're going to double click on the fill color to choose our background fill color. So what color are you wanting behind your Among Us character? I'm going to choose a light yellow. And then I'm going to choose the rectangle tool and click and drag over the entire artboard. Now we have our background color. An important thing to do next is to lock this layer so that we don't mess with it later on as we're creating our character. So about halfway down on the right hand side we have our layers window. So we could open that up. You can also go up to window and layers and open it here as well. Right next to this layer we have an eyeball, so we can turn that layer on and off to look at it, but next to it there's a blank area and we can put a lock on that layer. So now when we go to try and do anything on that layer, we can't do anything. So if we do want to change the color later on or something with the layer later, we will have to unlock it. But for now, let's keep it locked, and we are going to add a new layer. So on the bottom right of the layer window, you're going to create a new layer. It's always a good idea to get in the habit of naming these layers. So I'm going to name this one background. As you become more advanced and have a lot of layers, it might be difficult to find what you're doing if you're not naming them. So I named the background and then the Among Us. So let's go ahead. I'm going to collapse that layer, that window, and we are going to start with our rectangle, but let's choose our color first. So I'm going to double click on the fill, and I want my little Among Us character to be kind of like a really fun teal color. So let me see here. I'm going to go about right here. So right now I have no stroke and I have a fill color. I have my rectangle tool chosen, and I'm going to go ahead and click and drag my Among Us. This is where we're starting out. Then I'm going to go to the direct selection tool. The direct selection tool is where we can just manipulate one or two or more selected anchor points at a time. So I'm going to click and drag over these 2 anchor points on the top and round the top. Next, we're going to go back to our rectangle tool, and we're going to click and drag a rectangle about where his legs are going to be separated. So I'm going to show you a new tool that we didn't use last time. If I go to my selection tool and select both of these, so I clicked and dragged over both and they're both selected, I'm going to go to the Shape Builder tool. It's about halfway down on the left side of my tool panel. If I click on this, as you can see, if I hover over the different shapes now, it has a checkerboard pattern and it has a plus sign by my cursor. So I'm going to click and drag over 2 of them. Now those 2 are connected together, similar to what we did with our Pathfinder tool before. If I hold down Option on my keyboard and click on that, it's going to delete it. So I've just deleted this middle area. Let's go back to our direct selection tool, and we're going to click and drag over the 2 bottom, and we're going to drag that to about 12. Click and drag over the other 2 bottom and drag it to 12 as well. So now both of our legs have the same rounded edge. Next, we're going to click on the anchor point on the top of his leg on the right hand side and use the arrow button and just bring that up slightly. Now we're getting the start of our Among Us character. Next, we're going to go ahead and drag another rectangle and choose these circles to curve the edges. So I'm going to round those edges. Let's bring it to about 15. And it's the same color as the body. So let's double click on our fill color and choose a lighter color. So I want to go very close to white with the same color that I had. Next, we're going to do another rectangle for his little air supply pack. This is the same color we just did, but we want it the same color as the body. So we're going to go to our eyedropper tool, click on his body, and now we have it the same color. Back to our direct selection tool, and we're going to round the top. Oops, sorry, I rounded them all because I didn't tell it which one to do it. So it thought I wanted to do them all. So I'm going to click on the anchor point in the top corner so that it's selected and just round it slightly to about 12. Click on the bottom left now, and I'm going to round that one quite a bit more. Let's go to 0.4. And if you notice, this shape is on top of our body. It won't matter right now because we don't have a stroke, but later on when we add a stroke, it will. But we're going to give it a shadow before we send both it and the shadow back to the back. So I'm going to go up to my selection tool on the top left, and I'm going to copy and paste that shape. So Control C, Control V. I'm going to bring it over here so you can see what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do Control V one more time. Now I'm going to hover this part over to give it a nice little, I'm looking at this shape right here is the part that I want to be the shadow. I might even bring that over just a tad so I've got the line coming up the side. Now I'm going to drag over both of them so they're both selected, and we'll go back to our Pathfinder tool over on the right hand side, and we are going to minus the front object. So that's going to take away the top object. Now I'm going to double click on the fill color and just slightly bring that a little bit farther down, and I want to copy this number because I'm going to use the same shadow for the other part of the body. So I highlighted the hex code, Control C, so I have that, and I'm going to, actually I'm not going to use Control C because we're going to copy another part and lose that, but we'll use our eyedropper tool. So now that shadow's in place, we can select both of these shapes by dragging over them and go to Object, Arrange, and Send to Back. So we're going to send those behind the top object. Once again, we're going to select our body. We're going to do Command C, Command V. Bring that over here. Command V again. So we have our extra part here. And let's go ahead and get a little highlight going. So I'm going to select both of them and minus the top object. Here we've got this, and we can now go to our eyedropper tool, eyedrop on that shadow, and bring that shadow over. I'm not a big fan of this piece right here, so there's a couple options we can do. We can go to our pen tool, click and hold on that. We're going to add an anchor point about directly across from where this angle would go. So I'm going to add an anchor point right there. So I have anchor point here and anchor point here, and I'm going to delete these 3 anchor points. So let's click and hold on my pen tool, go to delete anchor points, and let's delete these 3 anchor points. Go to direct selection tool, and I might want to bring that up just slightly so I've got that angle going the same way. And now we've got our shadow going there. And we are going to now do the same thing with our visor. So go back to the selection tool, select the entire visor, Control C, Control V again. We've got both shapes. Let's go ahead and get that going. So we're going to hover over both, and we are going to use our Pathfinder tool and minus the top. Well, I have my top in the wrong direction, so let's move the top back up there. Select both of them, minus the top, and there we go. So I'm going to double click on this and just give slightly darker shade to add that shadow there. All right, so we're coming along. He's looking really cute. Let's next go to add our stroke to each one of these. So I'm going to click on the make sure the body, not the shadow. I'm going to click on the stroke so the stroke is on top. And I'm going to go over to my properties panel and add about a 3-point stroke. Now when I do this, if you notice, part of the shadow is going into there because it's to the line. So I want to click on the stroke and I want to align the stroke to the outside of the line. So we've got that. We've got it. It's black. I want to double click on it to bring up the color, and I do want to make it a little bit of a darker gray so that it's not completely black. We can click on this back one and use our eyedropper tool and select our top one, and it will give us the same stroke, the same color, and on the outside path of the shape. So we're going to do the same thing with this one, but if we use our eyedropper tool, it will change the inside color. So we're going to have to do this manually. We're going to add the 3-point stroke. We're going to click on stroke and align it to the outside of the line, and then double click on our color. Our color actually looks good. It's already that gray, and it's looking super cute. Lastly, we're going to do a line segment. So let's click on our line segment tool down on the right hand side, and we're going to hold down shift so we have a nice straight line and add a line in here. Right now it's that same gray that we have on the outside, but we want it to be white. So I'm going to double click on here, bring it all the way to the top to have white, and we are going to make it just a tad bit bigger. Maybe I like about 6. I'm going to move it down one. I'm going to click on stroke one more time. And if you see the caps, we have it on a straight edge. I wanted the round caps to give it a nice rounded edge. I'm going to hit Command Copy, Command V. Oops, sorry, I had the wrong thing selected. Go to my selection tool, click on that line segment, Command C, Command V. And I'm going to make that quite a bit smaller. And let's zoom in to bring this piece up here and make it even a little bit smaller than that. So we have a nice little highlight on his mask. So here's our Among Us character. He's looking really cute. This is all you need to select, all you need to do to turn it in. If you want to customize your little Among Us character, please feel free to have fun with it and continue on. You can add a hat, you can add flowers. I'm going to show you how to add a few things after I save it if you want to. So first of all, I'm going to go to my selection tool. I'm going to click and drag over the entire thing, and I'm going to move him to the center so that he is really nice smack dab in the center. I'm going to go to File, Save As. If you can save it to your OneDrive, please save it to your OneDrive. If not, save it to pictures on your computer. And for now, I'm going to save it to my desktop. I have my first name _ Among Us. You want to save the first one as an Illustrator, and you are going to save it and choose OK with the default settings. Next, you're going to go to File, Export, Export As. You should have the same options that you had before, and we're going to change the format to a JPEG. Export. When the option windows come, I want you to move it from 5 to 10 and the resolution from screen to medium. Then say OK. Lastly, if you did not save directly to OneDrive, make sure you save it to the OneDrive account so you don't lose it. This is going to be a multiple day project. And then save your JPEG to Teams for grading.